Morning, everyone. The time being 10:02. I'm going to open the work session on SB 492. And before we take comments from the committee, I'm going to ask General David Michaelides, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, to come up and talk to us a little bit about the bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members. For the record, I'm Major General David Michaelides, the Adjutant General representing both the Department of Military Affairs and Veteran Services and New Hampshire National Guard. All right, so what are we trying to do? I'll give you a little bit of background. Last fall, we were able to have the State Senate come to Pease Air National Guard base, and we put them on an orientation flight to show them our KC-46 refuelers. When they heard the presentation, the information brief from both our Air National Guard and our active duty squadron at Pease, the number one issue that resonated with them was affordable housing on the seacoast, right? Just affordable housing. So Pease Air National Guard base, our New Hampshire Air National Guard has approximately 1,100 Air National Guard airmen assigned there. In addition, we have 150 active duty squadron. Those active duty service members have no on-post housing, right? When Pease was BRAC'd in the late 1980s, I think it was like 1989, 1990, all the on-pace housing went away. So now what happens now? You have 150 active duty airmen, a lot of them younger, sort of like privates, basic airmen, come to Pease for a 3 to 4 year assignment, and they would typically just get rentals on the economy in like Dover and Madbury. And now with the cost of housing on the seacoast, they're now commuting over an hour away. So after the presentation, Senator Waters approached me and says, how can we help you? And it was his sort of initiative to come up with this bill to say, do you have the ability to lease or license your property? So when we look at our inventory through the entire National Guard, we have 2 facilities in Pembroke, New Hampshire, still an hour away, or Stratford, New Hampshire, where the Army Guard has what we call barracks, right? What's the difference between, say, a barracks and an apartment is? A barracks does not have a kitchenette. A barracks does not have like the privacy because it's shared living space between probably usually 4 soldiers with a common bathroom. So, his initiative was, there's a way for you to lease or license your property. And we're like, I don't know, we've never done this. So, this was the genesis for the bill. So what are we trying to solve? What we're trying to solve is essentially affordable housing on the seacoast for our younger service members. That is it, no more, no less. This allows us the authority or the possibility to pursue an opportunity to either convert some of our barracks space into short-term housing or like apartments to see if there's a way that we can solve some of the problems for our younger service members, both Army and Air. So the purpose is for both the active duty assigned to Pease and also our part-time Air National Guard service members and Army National Guard service members. And so that's what we're trying to pursue. So as I predict or anticipate the future, I see 2 sort of things we can probably do with this. One is conversion of our 2 barracks facilities that, so in Pembroke, we have about 130 rooms, and in Stratford, New Hampshire, we have about 100 rooms. I don't think we would convert all of it. What we would most likely do is do a request for proposal with some developer, have them take a look. Is there ability for us to convert 10 or 15 rooms? Give this sort of, this course of action, sort of an approach, see if it works and see what happens. Another thing that this could also do is, talking to our business administrator, is when the federal government went back to work and they eliminated telecommute, we've had a lot of people from different federal agencies like the federal civilians approach us and say, can we have workspace in one of your armories? And for about 1.5 years, we just said, no, we can't. Like, we're not going to lease out office space in an armory or in Concord at our headquarters facility because they're back to work for the federal government. This will also now allow us to almost have the equivalent of like a co-op space. So if you're a federal civilian working for the Department of Interior and you've been remote for the last 5 years and you're assigned to Washington, D.C., this gives us the ability to now just charge them a nominal fee for an office space, which eliminates sort of that, moving to D.C. and just working in the state of New Hampshire. So it's the big and the little of what I think this bill can do. Subject to your questions, I can give you additional context, sir, or
Sure. Representative Ulrich.
General, I'm familiar with the housing that used to be at Pease. The question is there any land there that you could build on that would not interfere with operations?
our initial thought was to convert existing barracks into, housing. We are in the process of working with the Pease Development Authority to acquire 7 acres of land outside our back entrance to the Pease Air National Guard base. As we call it, it's Arboretum Drive by the fuel farm as you come into the back way to Pease. We're in the process of getting that land, the PDA approved of that transfer to us. Now we have to wait for FAA approval. That could be a option. I don't think Pease Air National Guard base only has about 220 acres and it's pretty tight. So I don't see us initially putting any barracks or housing on the 220 acres that the Air National Guard still has. We would have to have additional land.
All right, and follow up, sir. And that would then mean that this bill would facilitate that or enable it in some fashion?
Yes, sir, it could. It could.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Yes, Representative.
With the chair's permission, I'm going to make a statement for context and then ask the question.
Okay.
So part of the military contract is that housing is included, and when housing is not available, you get an allowance, BAH, for housing so that you can rent in a local economy. If the housing allowance does not meet the needs of the local economy because of the housing crisis, that's where people have to commute. So that's the statement of fact. My question is, do you see it where you can rent some of these out to part-time soldiers, civilian contractors, and use the income offset of not paying the housing allowance in order to do this at a low cost or almost a net zero cost, where it can be maintained through a combination of rental and facility engagement?
Generally, yes. So what the representative is alluding to is we call it BAH, Bachelor Housing Allowance. So based upon, it's been a while for me, but based upon your rank, if you're an active duty service member, the federal government says, hey, if you're a private and you're active duty, we can give you $2,000 based upon your zip code to afford housing. And usually that housing allowance is what they pay to rent a room or a property or buy something. So we envision that happening to both our active duty and our part-time service members. I would say we would not do it for any civilian contractors because we generally don't have a lot of them. And we would just prioritize. It really for us is about taking care of our junior force. This isn't like officer housing where we're trying to make nice sort of duplexes or different type of facilities. We are purely trying to take care of our junior enlisted force, what we call say private to sergeant, E1 to E5, trying to take care of those junior enlisted ranks that we hope that bachelor housing allowance just goes to a property manager to rent out a apartment on a short-term or long-term basis.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Other Representative Almy.
Thank you. This is a much less informed question. How are there lower level ranks that are assigned to other parts of New Hampshire?
Yes, ma'am.
We have an armory in Lebanon, which I have never been in because it doesn't invite people. and Lebanon also has a major housing crisis, almost the scale of Seacoast.
Yeah, ma'am. So I would say this, it's like unit density. So the density of our service members are typically in the Manchester, Concord, sort of Nashua 93 corridor, like Route 3, and on Spalding Turnpike, because we just have Pease Air National Guard base. So usually those are our sort of major areas. Where we have land or barracks is right now is just Stratford, New Hampshire, and Pembroke, New Hampshire. Those are the only 2 facilities in the Army Guard that we have short-term barracks facilities for our service members. So in Lebanon, not to belabor it, when you go by our armories, why they're generally empty is because they're generally empty because we're a part-time force. So usually Monday to Friday, other than Concord and Manchester, you probably see 3 people assigned to that building. And then on the weekend a month, you have 100 people show up. right? So, so it's like that's the whole National Guard citizen soldier construct. 3/4 of our force is part-time. And so something in Lebanon or somewhere not in the quarter, we probably wouldn't pursue. I'm just trying to be honest. Like,
Yeah, no, that's good to know. Thank you. We've got enough other competing people.
Representative Bolton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I represent the town of Plymouth, and Plymouth has 2 National Guard properties, one of which you're going to be redoing the building. And I'm just kind of a picayune thing. This is not just for residences. It's also for anything that you could place on the property of a National Guard entity. And I'm thinking like, should they want a Starbucks on their property? You would be collecting some tax rate on that and not the municipality. How do you figure like taxation?
so, so I think your primary point would be is it would be taxed locally. So state land doesn't pay taxes. So the whole point would be if it was a facility in Plymouth, then it would go on the Plymouth tax rolls. So if we had a developer develop a apartment unit, they have to pay whatever local taxes. It no longer is tax exempt.
So even if it's on that property itself, it
Yeah,
would then become Plymouth
so-
property, or?
That was the whole point, to say like the developer, whoever, has to pay whatever municipal or state taxes associated with wherever that property is. Like the tax exemption status that we have is in the National Guard and state land. That was the way we wrote the legislation, was to say we will pay the developer will pay the taxes wherever the building resides. Did I answer?
Well, so would the town then co-opt that property? Would be Plymouth property where that individual business is located on your property?
What do you mean by co-op?
So if you had like a Starbucks, like plunk a thing right in the middle of your National Guard property in Plymouth, then that property would revert to Plymouth?
I would say we are prohibited from any sort of commercial use, like a Starbucks or whatever, right? Because this is only for housing. So I would say it remains state land that we, for lack of a better real estate term, sublease to a developer to build a building to pay local taxes on, so we have service members have housing.
So I guess I'm not seeing where it's only for property or only for like rental.
I believe it says lease and license for barracks or housing facilities.
Okay, I guess I better read this more carefully then, because it seemed like it was rather open. But
So I will review it again. It wasn't our intent to do anything like to that. It was just housing.
okay,
Yeah, I think when you
So-
start on line 5 of page 1, it does, it looks like it's everything, but as you read further down, it qualifies it, saying assessed real and personal property by the party using or occupying
Yeah.
said property.
okay,
I think that's where it gets qualified. Thoughts?
okay. I'm not reassured that language is, kind of nails it down, but
Okay, let's see what Representative Malloy thinks.
Well, I have a,
Barb, do you have a question?
yeah, thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. I represent Greenland, and we have a representative on the PDA, Board PDA. I'm curious about your thought about where the process is with the PDA in your acquiring some land or that. Do you have an idea how they are reacting to this? Is it likely to happen? Do you know? I know I'm asking for an opinion here, but so if it's unfair for me to ask you that,
No, sir, it's fine. The Peace Development Authority approved of it. So they approved of the transfer already, 7 acres by our back entrance. I'm not optimistic. I think we'll get it through the FAA and it'll be sort of released to us and essentially transferred from the Peace Development Authority to the Department of Military Affairs and Veteran Services. What concerns me the most about that specific parcel is environmental contaminants, the cost of redeveloping it. That's why I'm not optimistic that we will find land at Pease for housing. I think our better short-term bet is to try something at Stratford and Pembroke where we actually have something. And it would be a conversion of barracks to apartments, like extended stay.
Follow up, please.
Oh,
So we know there are other contamination issues
Yes.
in that area, and that might be one of them.
Yeah, I think it has issues. The reason why we wanted to acquire it is to enhance commercial vehicle access to the base, like the 18 wheel tractor trailers. When they come into the base, we have two entrances. The main entrance for commercial vehicles, like your privately owned vehicle, then major commercial access area. It's better for security because we don't have the right, what we call anti-terrorism force protection standoffs. So to put like a roundabout and overhead cover for our security people, that's why we wanted the 7 acres.
Thank you.
Yep.
Representative Schamberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, General. Just some questions I saw in your testimony back in January. When you talked about converting to permanent housing for the junior enlisted, is this already in your budget for the upcoming,
We would expect the developer to do it, pay for it.
the development?
So it's zero.
Okay.
We didn't put anything in our budget for that.
And I have a series of questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Ahead.
Will you be developing an MOU with the developer, or will the governor's council, be developing?
It's my understanding we would go to Governor Executive Council. So what do I envision happening is we would do a request for proposal, just put it out statewide. Hopefully some developer, whatever, wants to come and says, okay, it's just a standard selection process, qualification based.
Well, I appreciate you thinking about the enlisted men also. They're the ones that are the foundation of
Yep.
our service. Once you have an understanding, will the property, if it's developed, will it be under military control, or will it be like military police, or will it be the community that would be policing services?
Generally, it's the local municipality,
Okay.
except Pease Air National Guard Base because it's a federal installation. So we have our own security there. But every one of our Army National Guard facilities, except one in Rochester, is state land, municipal, like with local municipality, like providing law enforcement.
And my final question, sir. Thank you. How many properties do we have here in New Hampshire that are under your jurisdiction?
A lot.
Just a rough number.
We probably have about 20 armories throughout the state.
And do you see maybe expanding this concept into these areas that you have property?
I would say generally no. I would say there's probably 3 viable courses of action, like or 3 locations: Pembroke, Stratford, because we have it there, and the only other one I could potentially think of is our Portsmouth Armory. And the reason why is it resides in a residential neighborhood. So based upon the density of our service members and who we're trying to serve, like we wouldn't do it in Plymouth, we wouldn't do it in Lebanon because that's not where our active duty airmen are. Right. So generally speaking, they got to be probably less than an hour from Pease to make it sort of viable for them, because I can't build a facility in Plymouth or Littleton. We just put like $20 million into a Littleton maintenance facility. Housing in Littleton doesn't solve our problem when our active duty work out at Pease. So for us, it's got to be probably a 45-minute drive from Pease, because that's our number one issue we're trying to solve.
My questions on revenue might be for somebody else. I do have 2 other questions on that. I don't know if there's somebody else here to speak on this, or should I ask the general?
You can ask, and then I know
He
that
can tell me.
DRA is here as well, but
What is your projected annual revenue for leasing? Do you have any kind of concept? And no one's
Nah.
delved down to that area
No.
yet. Okay. And will there be safeguards, I guess, to ensure that the revenue that comes in is not going into the general fund of the state? Will it be going into a particular
Yeah, yes, sir. So I would say we haven't done any projections because this is just new to us in the sense that it's just not what we do. Like we're not in the property management business. So, but I would say though, and the second point is what we generally try to do is if it is for a rental for a infrastructure, we try to keep a dedicated account to go back into the facilities. That's it. Just like when we used to rent out the Manchester Armory, that rental income
Goes back.
it usually it went back into our armories. Then we had a scholarship fund. Then went back to our armories, and we stopped renting it because of fire code issues. So,
Thank you, General.
Yeah, I'm looking at line 13 on page 1, and there's a dedicated fund that's created called the Veteran Services Property Fund. It looks like the money goes into that.
yeah. So I just say, sir, like all the questioning is, I think we would generally only do this the first time within 45 minutes of P's. And I'm not blind to the fact when I tell you we have a barracks facility in Pembroke. I drive Route 4 every day. It's an hour from P's. That's why I think we're going to try Stratford because that's within a 40-minute drive of P's Air National Guard base. So I don't see this going statewide. Because generally, when you have an armory is on like 5 to 10 acres of land, and we're just not set up to put additional, say, rental units on an armory in a town where it doesn't solve our problem.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for the general? Seeing none, thank you. So I guess committee members' thoughts on this bill? What's that?
I said straw poll. A lot of people have been nodding. So.
Oh. Yes, Representative Ulrich.
Just to reiterate what the general said, when you see an armory, you're talking about a storage space. It's a warehouse space. It's a training space. It's not a housing space. It has nothing to do with that. The housing that comes up on the weekends, normally canvas, not, yeah, tents. Or sometimes not.
Yeah, not a lot of room around those.
Yeah, it's not long-term housing. It's, the armory is merely a warehouse, if you will. Nothing more than that. So that doesn't really apply to this particular bill. We're talking about the permanent employees, permanent members of the National Guard or Air Guard who are resident, some of whom are away from home for the first time, some of whom have homes in the area, not many, because the way the Air Force works, the Army to a large degree as well. But, so don't think about armories as being involved. We're talking about providing a place for people to live who work here. Yeah, and the Starbucks would pay taxes because that's in the bill.
Anyone else want to make a comment? Yes, Representative Geisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want the committee to also consider something. And when I joined the Army, I was 17 years old, and the people we're talking about housing are largely 17 to 22 years old. When you are that young, it is often harder to rent an apartment, to clear a background check as a young renter. A lot of places they expect you to have gone and lived in the dorms at college, or to have lived with your parents, or to have gone apprentice somewhere. And then the housing allowance is structured based on the rank. So you're talking about people who get the smallest amount of non-taxable allowance trying to find a place to lease or rent for a 1 to 2 year, 3 year maximum span on a typical assignment. So I think it's very important that we're able to provide this housing to active duty.
Thank you. Okay, well, while we are not voting at this moment, Representative Southworth's idea is fine. Those who think they're leaning towards ODP, please raise your hand. Okay. Probably don't need to discuss it anymore.
But we have to wait.
We have to wait till 11 o'clock, though, to vote on it. We do have another bill. All right, so I'm going to close the work session on SB 492. Okay, we are ready for SB 627, so I'll open the work session on SB 627. And we have
Jim Jalbert.
Jim Jalbert. Would like to say a few things about it, so come on up, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Jim Jalbert. I'm the owner of C&J Bus Lines. We operate from the Seacoast region of New Hampshire to New York City, Boston South Station, and Logan Airport. I'm also the chairman of the Transportation Council appointed by this legislature and have been so for over 4 years. And I am the public member of the Site Evaluation Committee of the Public Utilities Commission for the state of New Hampshire. I'm here today to speak in support of this bill. I candidly have watched our state during my entire career, some 47 years in the intercity bus industry, look at the funding of our highways, our roads, how we get there, how we take care of our state, and sometimes in some measure of awe because let's see, for 18, almost 19 election cycles, we haven't had an increase in the road tolls. For 9 election cycles, we haven't had an increase in highway tolls. And I say tolls, I call them fuel taxes when I pay them to the Fed. I call them tolls when I pay them in New Hampshire. And we now have a situation where this bill will take care of part of the problem. What does it do? Without cost to members of our state, citizens of our state, it will allow New Hampshire to increase highway tolls and create the necessary revenue to fully fund the 10-year highway plan. It will deal with safety issues such as the significant problem at exits 6 and 7 on 93 in Manchester. It will fund the extension from Manchester to Concord, the additional widening. When the 93 widening occurred, I was a proponent of it. There was a 4.3 cent tax which sunsets in 3033, a road toll in 3033 to do that widening. And I look at the positive impact of that widening on the Granite State, and you can't look back and say it didn't work. And it does sunset. When I look at what this bill does, it will resolve congestion problems all over the state. It will resolve safety issues all over the state. And now, there are some who said, well, it only does it on the turnpikes. Well, that's simply not true. In 1991, Congress created the tax credits for highways, toll credits, they called them. Those toll credits have played an instrumental role here in New Hampshire to provide the necessary matching funds for federal funds. So if there's a bridge in Greenland, New Hampshire, which Representative Malloy is all too familiar about, that's not a turnpike issue, that's a local issue. But if the federal funding is available, the 20% match, in some cases, you can convince the Fed to only take 10% of those toll credits will pay for that. That is a windfall of epic proportion. In theory, if you maximize construction with these turnpike tolls, you could generate as much as $500 million over 10 years. Now, the likelihood of that is not great. It's probably going to be in the $150 to $250 million range. But think about for 1 second what $250 million will do in terms of matching funds against our federal annualized allocation. It is a game changer. There are some people who will tell you that this will impact our tourism. Maine, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New York, Rhode Island have been doing this for years. Every Friday, our buses travel the 95 corridor out of Portsmouth through the Hampton Tolls. The traffic going into Maine, heading northbound, backs all the way to Newburyport. Well, they get $4 a clip to drive a private passenger automobile through the York Toll. It didn't dissuade anybody. Tourism is up in Maine. Tourism has been up in New Hampshire, and it won't change. But I'll tell you what will change: congestion. Because one of the first things the department will do is they'll fully automate tolls at Hampton. There are only 2 out of 5 barrels at the toll gate where you can go through nonstop. That changes immediately. It will make our roads faster, more not in terms of speed, but faster in terms of pass-through, more efficient, better emissions. It does a lot for New Hampshire. We run 2 types of service. We run service to Boston Logan, as I said earlier, and we run service to New York. The suspensions on our buses that we run to Boston Logan, we rebuild every 150,000 miles. The suspensions that we run to New York City, we rebuild every 75,000 miles because the roads are so terrible and so underinvested that it destroys equipment. We face that reality in the Granite State. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. I said at the beginning, 19 election cycles this year, we have failed to deal with fuel taxes in New Hampshire. 8 election cycles in tolls. We have no sales or income tax. That's going to change if we don't do this. This is a no-brainer. It doesn't impact our citizens. It gives us the money we need to fund our Department of Transportation and get some work done. I have nothing to gain here, right? I've come to every one of these meetings. I've gone to Gasset hearings. I'm here because I care about New Hampshire, because I have 150 employees who are citizens of New Hampshire, who work here, that want to earn a gainful, livable wage every single day, and they do. But my guys need good roads to run on. My employees need good roads to get to work on every day. Have the courage to do this. Don't get caught up in it's election year, we'll do it next year's cycle. 9 years is too long for that. 18 or 19 years is too long for that. Do the right thing. Thank you.
Questions? Representative Ulrich?
He said that we haven't addressed this in the past, but I seem to recall former Speaker Jasper pushing through a road toll increase not that many years ago. It was 2 cents and then another 2 cents and then another 2 cents over a period of 5
That's not,
years.
with all due respect, Representative, that's not correct.
I was present, sir.
Well, I can, that,
And it wasn't.
it wasn't. It was 4.3 cents, and it was for the widening of Interstate 93, which sunsets.
No, it was on,
2030.
it was on the road toll.
You mean on the highway tolls, sir?
On the gas tax.
Not since 1991.
Okay, we have someone who may know.
You were there.
I was. I believe. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, speak, Mr. Chairman.
No, go ahead.
I believe in the 2013 or 2014, and you misrepresented yourself too. It was 4.2 cent increase to
Sorry.
go to the widening of 93 and to pay off those bonds.
Thank you. And paid off the bonds, yes. The other question is, did not the fee at the Hampton tolls just increase double?
No, it did not.
The bill proposes doubling.
No, there was a slight change in Hampton when they did some work on the gates, but there's still, I mean, look, you have toll gates in in Hampton that are empty. And so when they're working on the Easy Pass lanes, traffic backs up to Portsmouth. I mean, we're turning 95 into a parking lot, and it's not supposed to be what it is. It's supposed to be a way to get through and move people efficiently. I mean, I put 51 people on a bus we run 60 trips a day into South Station and Logan, and when it works right. And when the barrels are open, it's incredible how quick we are. I can remember 5 or 10 years ago, you all had a budget for private sector transportation of $40,000 in your budget. $40,000. And I'm not complaining about that. That's fine. The state of Maine uses all their CMAQ money, 1.5 million a month to fund the Downeaster, plus all their revenue from taxes from rent-a-cars. We take our revenue, we put it back into our state. It's just that we don't have enough anymore. And the general fund is not going to support taking money out of the general fund to supplement the budget of the department. You know, and how do I know? I've been up here arguing for this for years. Guys, you got a great shot. This is your shot, no cost to New Hampshire, home run. Do it.
Representative Opal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for taking my question. Sir, I've just recently been in both Maine, driving in both Maine and Massachusetts. Is there any state around us that does not charge more for either out-of-state transponders or,
If you have a New Hampshire transponder, you pay more.
in all of the surrounding
All of them.
states? Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
nobody gives us a free, and all we're asking is, right, what we're trying to do is have parity. That's the case here, parity.
How much more is Massachusetts or Maine charging?
It depends on the location. I can tell you when I go into the Holland Tunnel, it's $38.
No, I'm sorry. I meant like, is it double? Because we're doubling the tolls. So,
Maine is $4. If you're a state of Maine resident, you pay 90 cents.
okay.
I mean, this is real. This isn't like somebody's making this up or, oh, we're really going to get hurt or tourism. This is all legit. This is like how it is. I pay, I can't tell you what I pay for a bus in New Hampshire. I should be able to tell you, but I pay like 3 times the amount in Massachusetts and Connecticut.
Representative Ohm.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for testifying before us. I noticed you had put an editorial in the Union Leader a while back, which I took the liberty of printing out.
I did.
And with no objection by you, I'd like to pass it out to the committee members.
Certainly.
Because I think it explains in depth your position.
The only thing, Representative, that it doesn't talk about is the toll credits because I forgot to put it in and I thought I was getting a little too wordy with it, so I kept it out. Yeah.
You all set? Okay. Representative Malloy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Jalber, for taking my question. I live in Greenland. Would you believe that on those Fridays and Sundays and holidays during the summer, that not only is 95 bumper to bumper, but the roads surrounding 95 are bumper to bumper as well, because there's so much traffic going in there that there's a traffic jam in Greenland on Sunday afternoon at 3:00 during the summer. So would you believe that?
No, I know that. Congestion creates congestion. So when you've got the Hampton tolls backed up to Newburyport, or if they're backed up to the York toll, go think about that. That's what, 7 miles or something like that, or 8 miles of toll back up. What the next thing they do is they go up 33 through Greenland, then they go up Route 1, then they go up 1A, and it just creates this enormous amount of gridlock. And you know, whether you are prescribed to what it does to the environment or not, or want to go into that, which I don't care to. It impacts our environment. It impacts the ability to move people around all over that corridor. I mean, the 95 corridor is the gateway into one of the gateways into New Hampshire, and certainly into the entire state of Maine. And it's critical. And yes, it does. It creates a real mess if you want to, and if there's an accident, it's even worse.
Follow up.
Follow up.
So with the credit, there would be more money for state roads for the state.
Absolutely.
33 is a state road. This traffic that travels on these roads, wear them down, make the damage even greater. So there would be some relief for other state roads
There would-
in New Hampshire.
There would be
for
relief
repair work and all that.
for everything. I mean, you could maximize. So on the transit side in New Hampshire for years, there's 3 pots of money: 5311, which is rural money; 5307, which is, and I'm bringing transit up for one specific reason. You'll understand in a second. 5307 for operating of public transit, and 5309, I think, which is the capital. They can't spend the money. New Hampshire can't spend the money because the transit authorities don't have the match money to spend it. So in your cities and towns, if you're in Greenland, we have Coast. So I'll think about Coast for a second. And Coast has to raise money locally from the cities and towns to match that money. But a lot of times we have leftover money. So the same thing holds true with your federal money. If you don't have the match money to spend it, you can't spend it. That's why the toll credits are so important. I mean, the hidden gem in all of this is the damn toll credits.
Let me go to her. Yes, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I asked a question, I think I know the answer, but just put it on the record. Isn't it true that the toll you pay is based upon where you bought your transponder? So it's people who own a New Hampshire transponder, not necessarily based on where they live. So that anybody can own a New Hampshire transponder. In fact, the bill does it not include a provision for providing those transponders free to those who need them.
If you have a New Hampshire transponder, regardless of where you live, they work. So when, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to drive back through Hooksett to get to my office in Portsmouth, and I'm going to use my transponder, which we bought in Portsmouth. So yeah, it doesn't matter. And they're given away. And then the neat thing is, in a couple of years, those RFID tags if you go through the car wash, you stick it on your windshield. They're doing away with the transponders. It's all going to RFID tag. So yeah.
Representative Elmy.
Thank you. I live in Lebanon. 20 years ago, when one of our major bridges across the Connecticut was refused to continue. Overnight, they came on the 6-month check, and they condemned it just then. They allowed the school buses couldn't go. We have a school bus that has to go across. The people, we have the major granite crushing and firm in the west of New Hampshire. And it has to come, it is not allowed to go on the federal roads. So it has to go over our dry bridge, which goes up to that bridge and goes across when they need to put their stuff in Vermont. There was a flood, major flood, the next year. They couldn't do that for 4 months until President Obama gave us a replacement bridge.
Representative, what's the question?
The question is a would you believe?
Oh.
When I woke up that morning realizing that bridge was stopped, I realized we were on an island created by the bridges. We could not get out of Lebanon except on 89 without going over one of those bridges. And each of those bridges was on the red list and pretty high up the red list. We have now finally, because of the tax credits, the toll credits, we have got everything except that dry bridge fixed. and they are just about to finally put the money in to allow us to do it. For 6 years, 8 years, I've been in meetings because they were trying to, we were trying to convince them that they could not build a bridge that went like that across that space because those trucks would not be able to go over it, and it would be very difficult for the rest. But they came up with that in order to slow us down because there weren't enough toll credits around. And it is finally happening the way the bridge should happen, that is sort of straight. And on everybody, there are places all over the state that have been like you've been saying, that have been delayed by DOT because they couldn't get enough toll credits. And
Okay.
I am totally in favor of this.
Okay. Thank you. I noticed DOT is here as well, and I'd like to hear from them. So thank you, sir, for your testimony.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Members of the committee, thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name's David Rodriguez, Commissioner of the Department of Transportation. Being a work session, I did not prepare testimony. However, if you like, I could share the testimony that I shared with the Senate to explain the DOT's perspective on this bill.
Sure.
Okay, SB 627 increases toll rates for vehicles not registered to a funded New Hampshire Easy Pass account and not bearing a New Hampshire license plate. The bill also includes a provision for toll rates to be compared every 2 years to the projected inflation rate of the department's 10-year plan process. The department, okay. Toll rates in New Hampshire were last raised in 2007. The Hampton tolls were last raised in 2009. When we compared New Hampshire to other Easy Pass agencies, New Hampshire has the lowest toll rate per mile of any toll agency. Even with this increase, we would move up from about number 32 to about number 26 for out-of-state motorists, so we would still be a very good deal. Many toll agencies discount tolls for customers with funded Easy Pass accounts from their home agency. The rate of discounts varies by toll agency. New Hampshire currently has a 30% discount. The proposed bill locks in the current discounted rates as a new toll rate for all New Hampshire Easy Pass users. So essentially, if you have a New Hampshire Easy Pass, you will continue to pay what you currently pay. For non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users, the cost will increase. And we look at what other states do, and I'll make an example. If you go through the Hampton toll today with a New Hampshire Easy Pass, you pay $1.40 to go through. If you go through with a New Hampshire Easy Pass and this bill passes, you will still pay $1.40. If you go through the York toll with a New Hampshire Easy Pass, you pay $4. If you go through the York toll with a Maine Easy Pass, you pay 95%. So even if this toll increase were to go into effect, our New Hampshire residents still pay a higher percentage at the Hampton toll than Maine residents or Maine Easy Pass users pay at the York toll. In addition, the compounding effects of tolls last increased in 2007, increasing costs due to inflation, reduced number of toll transactions, in turnpike spending priorities results in a lack of turnpike funds for capital projects. One of the reasons this bill is coming forward now is because we are in the ending phases of our 10-year transportation plan update. That's currently being reviewed by the Senate now, and once passed, will go to the governor for signature. There are projects that people would like in that 10-year plan that simply cannot be there because the funding is not there. The House amended the 10-year plan to take out Manchester Exit 6 and 7 project on I-293 because it wasn't funded in the plan. With this toll increase, the Manchester I-293 Exit 6 and 7 project can be funded. Bow Concord, portions of that project can be funded. And what this bill also does is currently there are federal projects on the turnpike system that could be turnpike funded. With this toll increase, we will replace the federal funding for those projects with turnpike funds, and that makes those federal funds available for other projects around the state. The Senate has recently amended the 10-year plan to include those projects contingent upon the passage of 627. If this bill passes, those projects will be in. If this bill does not pass, those projects will not be in the 10-year plan. The department does not take a position on whether we support this bill or don't support this bill. This bill is all a matter of priorities and what we want to be able to construct at the end of the day with the 10-year plan. The department will build what we have the revenue and funding to build. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. One is, when we look at this bill, is every single item on here a doubling of what it was before?
For non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users, yes. For New Hampshire Easy Pass users, the rate stays at the discounted rate that
Right.
it currently is.
Understood, but for out of state, every single
Yes.
listing here is double.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Next question would be, when I look, the example, we tend to talk about the car, so $4 at Hampton Tolls. But if I look at class 12, it's $11.50. And the comparisons have been at the car level. So in Maine, it's, I believe it was $4 and this is $4. But how does Maine, as you go down the classing here, if they have a class 11, 12, whatever, are they at these same prices, $11.50 and $11?
They are at similar prices. I can get you the main toll chart if you would like, but every state recognizes that the heavier the vehicle is, the more damage it does to the roadway system, and adjust their tolls appropriately to increase the cost for the heavier vehicles.
Well, that makes sense, but in general, without giving me a specific number, do you feel or do you know whether, is it on this order? Do you know if the rates, for example, for a class 12 vehicle, $11.50, do you know if Maine is on that order, whether it's, more plus or minus?
Yes, we are in the same ballpark with those increases as the vehicles get heavier.
Okay, and this probably isn't the right question for you, but I mean, does this have an economic impact for truckers? Because obviously these are big rigs that are at that price. Any idea?
So does it have
On trucking.
an economic impact?
Yeah.
Yes, it increases their cost to go through the toll. We still think New Hampshire has a great value. And again, currently we are the lowest state. I have a high confidence, although I don't have the numbers in front of me, that even with this increase, we're going to be in the bottom quarter of toll prices per mile for trucks as well as vehicles.
Representative Ellery.
Yes, it's going to increase your bulk haulers. So a load of fruit coming up to the restaurants in Portsmouth are going to pay more for that fruit. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And LP gas coming into New Hampshire from Chelsea would cost more. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And oil and gas, the same thing coming out of Chelsea.
Oh, sure. But I do ask you to look at the scale of that, and you can make your own determination if that is really going to impact the cost of those commodities.
Follow up, sir. My question was, who's going to be paying for it? And it's not going to be the trucking companies. It's going to be a New Hampshire citizen who's purchasing gas or going out to a meal. Is that not correct?
Those costs likely get passed through to the consumer, so.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Murphy?
Just to answer, or just to add information so for the group's decision-making, the heavy truck in Maine, currently Class 6, is around between $36.30 and $42 for the toll. In New Hampshire, it's between $9.90 and $11 for the toll. So they're way over what we are currently charging, just so that you know.
Thank you. Yes, Representative Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for taking my question. So this increase, will this give you enough money to fully fund every project that you want to do in your 10-year plan?
No, it will not. No, it will not give us money to fund every project that we want to do. But it will give us 550 to 600 million more over the 10-year period. And it will allow us to bring in Manchester Exit 6 and 7 and Bow Concord into the plan.
Representative Elmy?
Thank you. What you were reading was the Senate testimony, and I'm wondering, I couldn't find, looking in here, anything. I think that the House probably took it out for a 2-year reconsideration of what the tolls should be. You said that that there were every 2 years there was going to be a review again, which would be pretty reasonable, maybe quite a little less often than that, but.
Yes. So when this bill was originally drafted, there was a provision in this bill that when we update the 10-year plan every 2 years, we compare the construction inflation rate that we use for the 10-year plan to the toll rates and make a recommendation for an increase to tolls every 2 years to keep up with the construction cost inflation. And that requirement, it appears, has been removed from this bill.
Thank you.
Representative Ohm?
Thank you. Thank you for coming to answer some questions before us, and I have a couple. One is, I was expecting a bill from the Senate that would have like a simple round number of increase, 50 cents or a buck or 75 cents. And the bill that came to us has 6 pages of a lot of prime numbers in here. And I'm wondering how this will work mechanically. For example, coming up here, I drove through the Hookston tolls. And under this bill, a Class 4 rig would be tolled $1.23. Now, if somebody goes through the cash lane, are we going to have people with, dimes, nickels, and pennies to make change? And I wonder if this bill is structured, is even workable with the 6 pages of what I'll call unusual numbers that have to be hand collected. Would you comment on that?
Right. So these tolls are set for those with a New Hampshire Easy Pass transponder where the tolls are collected electronically and can be billed at those increments. The cash customers will pay the non-discounted tolls.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is that specified in here?
Pardon me?
Well, let me just add, these that are listed here, these are the new tolls. So if class 4 in the Bedford, Maine toll is $1.23 and somebody is paying cash, how is, they can't pay cash?
Can't pay cash there.
Okay. Is there, what about, so all these that have odd number, like, 315, class 10 through Hooksett,
Yes.
those all non-cash? They all have to be
Correct.
transferred?
Those are for New Hampshire Easy Pass users. Yes, and those are the current discounted tolls that are collected at those toll structures today. So there's no increase to those tolls. That's what's being collected today as you go through with a New Hampshire Easy Pass.
Okay, I'm a little confused because I thought all the numbers listed in this bill are the new toll. These would be the new tolls.
So currently, there is a 30% discount for New Hampshire Easy Pass users. With the increase in tolls, you could not apply simply a 50 or 60% discount to keep the tolls where they are today for New Hampshire Easy Pass users. So in order to keep the tolls exactly where they are today for New Hampshire Easy Pass users, that toll rate is entered into the bill.
Okay, so for example, Hooksett ramp, class 10, $3.15. That's the new toll, or that would be the new toll. But when discounted, it results in whatever the current toll is.
That is the current toll in Hooksett for New Hampshire Easy funded Easy Pass users. There's two toll schedules here. Okay? So
Okay,
the
maybe
first
I'm missing
one
it.
in section 2, that is the increased toll rate for non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users. And that's what, as you have described, is a doubling of the tolls. So that's for non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users. Section 3 lists the tolls for New Hampshire Easy Pass users. Those
Okay.
tolls listed there are the current tolls that we are all paying today with a New Hampshire Easy Pass. Because it's electronic toll collection, it's easy to collect to the penny.
Okay, so in section 2,
Yes.
there's less listed than there is in section 3. So we're not increasing all the tolls, or is it the same number? Yeah.
Section 2 should be exactly the same number as in section 3.
Okay,
Each toll location is listed and each class of vehicle is specified.
okay. Okay, that's Representative Opal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner. I just want to confirm one thing that I believe there was a question earlier, and you said something I think that was a little different. In order to have a New Hampshire Easy Pass account, I have to not only have the New Hampshire Easy Pass, but my vehicle has to be registered in the state of New Hampshire. Is that true?
Anyone can get a New Hampshire Easy Pass account. Anyone.
So if my vehicle's registered in Massachusetts, I can
Yes.
still get a New Hampshire Easy Pass
You
account.
can. Yes, you can.
And then I get the discounted rate.
No. Well, yes. If you live in Massachusetts and you get a New Hampshire Easy Pass, you get the discounted rate if you use that in New Hampshire. If you use that same transponder in Massachusetts, you will not get the discounted rate there, and you will not get the discounted rate if you use that transponder in Maine.
Follow up, Mr. Chair.
Follow up?
So what I need to do is just have 50 different, or 32, what is it, however many Easy Pass states there are, to get the discount. Is that?
Oh, I wouldn't do that
Yeah, well-
personally, but I would be concerned I'd get charged 2 or 3 times instead of get a discount. But that's just me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Ellery.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Representative Opal. But if I lived in Boston and I skied at Cannon Mountain, no in hell am I going to buy a Massachusetts transponder to go skiing. I'll come up and get a free transponder from New Hampshire and pay the New Hampshire rate as opposed to twice as much, even though I live in Cambridge, because Cambridge is next to Harvard.
Unless you have to go through the Ted Williams Tunnel.
Yeah. No, not from Cambridge.
Yeah, that's not good.
And if I can add, we look very closely at the revenue projections for these, and there is a consideration that a small number of people may get a New Hampshire Easy Pass. I can just speak from my own experience. I drive through the York Toll. I have a New Hampshire Easy Pass. I pay $4. Yes, I could get a Maine Easy Pass and pay 95 cents, but I don't. And that percentage that our consultants tell us who look at this of people who will get a New Hampshire Easy Pass is relatively small.
Okay, Representative Southworth.
Thank you. I didn't put my light on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I said South, I meant Shamberg, sorry.
You got one of the Toms mixed up there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. It started with an
Oh, but
S.
I
That's
knew
fine.
he was thinking about it, because look, now the light is on.
Commissioner Rodriguez, I'd just like to ask this one question. Without any change in the tolls, what is the estimated revenue loss or that we would be a shortfall for this 10-year plan? I just want to hear a solid number. Representative Coles started with the question. I'd just like to.
Yeah. So on the federal side, it's about $400 million. On the Turnpike side, it's significantly more because that doesn't include the true cost of Manchester Exit 6 and 7, of Bow Concord, and so forth.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now Representative Southworth.
Yes. Well, thank you for taking my question. I understand from some people across the aisle, I mean, this has been very carefully planned out. And I think you gave us extra information in terms of the numbers that maybe was more complicated than just saying this part's doubled, this part isn't. But you gave us all these numbers. But I'm also assuming when you worked on this, you realized there would be some slight increases for consumers, that was something certainly that people knew. And I guess for me, certainly paying 5 cents more for a banana compared to all of these things that are needed and way behind doesn't really sway me. But again, is your sense that as they studied this, they did realize that at least in pennies, there'd be some slight increases for consumers?
And we would say fractions of pennies, for sure.
Thank you.
Representative Ullery.
Thank you, Representative, for talking about pennies. A truckload of lumber to make housing more affordable would go up substantially. Would that not be a correct or an accurate statement?
Again, I don't know when I look at these rates for the high class vehicles, I'm still seeing $750 to is the highest to go through the Hooksett, Maine, compared to today for a New Hampshire Easy Pass user, $495. So if a load of lumber going from $495 to $750 is a significant increase on the cost of a house, then yes. To me, I don't see it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's been very informative. And I'd like to ask Jennifer Ramsey from DRA to come up. I'm sure.
You have me stumped. How can I help?
Yeah, and I'm sure you weren't necessarily prepared to speak. I wasn't planning on calling you, but do you have any idea how these toll increases might affect tourism or transportation total costs? I mean, is there a concern on the DRA that we may lose revenue in some way? Like,
No, there's not a concern on the part of DRA, but candidly, this is not a bill that we've taken any kind of a deep look at, and I think that might be a better question for BEA.
is anyone from BEA here? Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Could I ask a question?
Oh, we have one question.
Is
Representative
that
Almy.
why we don't have a number for how much you think is going to be available for the DOT?
I think transportation probably has those numbers. If you wanted to call them back up and ask them, that I think that would be the agency that would know that.
Are they still here?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
All right. Mr. Rodriguez, if you'd come back up. What was your question, Representative Almy? We do have a revenue number. You were asking what the expenditure? Or
No, I meant, where's the revenue number?
it's in the fiscal impact. Page, revenue FY 27, 26,400,000. I guess my question is, why does it double in FY 28? Is that because only half of 27 is covering?
Correct. If this bill passes, the toll increase would go into effect January 1st, and that would give us 6 months of fiscal year 27. And then it increases from there.
So now if this bill, I know there was some concern about whether these, I think in general, people agree that we need to fund our turnpike system. I don't think that's up for debate. The question is, are these the right numbers? I think that's the concern I've heard mostly. And do we need to study these numbers to figure out what the right numbers are so that we don't have a fiscal impact problem on whatever, tourism, trucking, and so forth. If this got delayed until and passed in, let's say, January, February of 2027, and with an how soon could it be implemented?
So it would take the next cycle of the 10-year plan to catch up with projects and so forth. But if this was delayed, we would start collecting that revenue right away, and there are projects that it could go to work on. When you ask, is this the right number, we would tell you to catch up with where we think we should be. This number is small. So it gives us a comfort level that this is a great number to start with. And then as we continue to update our 10-year plans in the future, which we do every 2 years, we revisit this discussion. There are a couple of things that have worked against us. So again, the tolls were last raised system-wide in 2007. They were last raised in Hampton only in 2009. For a while, traffic on the turnpike system continued to grow, which, while it didn't necessarily keep us up with inflation, it did help to increase the revenue. 2019 was our highest traffic volume year on the turnpike system. And what happened, as we all know, with COVID, numbers dropped way down. They're coming back, but they're coming back slower than expected, and they're not expected to grow at as fast a rate as was originally planned. So again, as traffic volumes have leveled off or even decreased, we've also seen huge inflationary costs that have increased our needs as well, which gets us to where we are today with the increase. If we want to build these capital projects, we need the revenue to do that. If we are willing to delay these capital projects, that's a choice, and the department will happily work either way. We'll work to deliver these projects, or we'll work to defer these projects until we have the revenue to build them.
So does it get delayed 6 months? Or how long would it get delayed? If this passed in February and we fast-tracked it to be effective June 2027, wouldn't the impact be
Small. Yes, sir.
okay? Representative Breyer.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. I on these revenue estimates, a quick question. I know that with turnpikes, you do traffic counts. And I'm assuming if they use the Easy Pass, you have an idea of how many of those cars are out-of-state cars. So when you came up with these estimates, only out-of-state cars would be the increase. So you're saying that the 26.4 million in the first 6 months of this program, that'd be raised by purely out-of-state.
It would be raised purely by non-New Hampshire Easy Pass customers.
And follow-up?
Yeah, follow-up.
So what you're saying here is based on your traffic counts, you feel very comfortable that these are the numbers?
Yes, very comfortable. When we look at a toll booth like Hampton, it's about 80% out-of-state vehicles, 20% or 80% non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users, 20% New Hampshire Easy Pass users. When we look at a toll like Hooksett, it's about closer to 40-60%, 40% in-state, 60% out-of-state, or non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users.
Representative Almy.
Thank you. Can you think of anything else that we could study at this point that would make a major difference to this bill that you haven't done yet?
To this bill?
Yes.
No, I don't. If you want to keep the rates where they are today for New Hampshire Easy Pass users, and if you want to pass on the increase to non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users, like Maine does, like Massachusetts and other states does, and like we already do with our 30% discount, I think this is the way to do that.
Follow up.
I'll do the rest of my discussion in the.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes. Well, it's not a public hearing. No, I'm just calling on people. Where are you from, or who do you represent? Okay, come on up. Continental Paving.
Oh.
No, it's okay. No. You don't need a pink card. No, this isn't a public hearing. It's not. Yeah.
I would just like specifically to add
What's your name?
Amy Charbonneau from Continental Paving. I've spoke at the previous hearings. I don't want to duplicate anything. New Hampshire trucks do not get an increase. So I think that's an important thing to note. It is out-of-state trucks, but no New Hampshire trucks, and the Trucking Association, once they learned that, did not oppose the bill publicly. I just like to speak in raw facts, so we're 5 cents bananas, that type of stuff. So to understand in real numbers, there's the 393 bridge that we all took to get here. That's in the 10-year highway plan, funded with the 10-year highway plan money. And that's about somewhere between 80 and $95 million that's going to have to go to fix that bridge that will be red listed. If this passes, that bridge has to be fixed no matter what. So whether it's turnpike money or state, how the buckets are, just so you know. And then you take that money, if this goes, now we use turnpike money and we fix that. Also at the same exact time, we're fixing the entire project of 8993, which is a safety issue. So the ramps don't have any merging lanes. The highway is built for not the volume of traffic that is occurring today. So there are accidents, it is dangerous. There is that major component of it. If we don't raise these funds, that, let's call it $90 million, is going to have to fix that bridge, but it doesn't solve the future problem. So whenever we decide to actually fix that future problem, that $90 million didn't really serve a purpose. It was a Band-Aid that then was wasted, and now we've come to terms with that we need to fix the whole project. So I do think that the state is at that point with a few projects. Manchester 6-7 is also that. There's, don't quote me correctly, but it's around $10 million that's allotted towards that in the 10-year highway plan that will temporarily fix a problem that then once we decide to fund it, because it is necessary, because it is a dangerous exit, then you're basically removing, it was wasted money. So for the taxpayers, I do believe that we just need to understand those are like huge volumes of money that we're starting to Band-Aid because the big picture is not going to be accomplished. So if we accomplish the big picture, I do believe that for the taxpayers, their monies will go to a more valuable solution.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to close the work session on HB 627. Well, actually, no, I'm going to open it back up. Sorry about that. Were there any comments from members that are, where we learned something new? Okay. Yes.
I think it would be worthwhile to explore what the sort of per gallon cost is for a gasoline tanker, for example, or per board foot cost of somebody carrying lumber. $3 increase spread out over 5,000 gallons that might be on a tanker is just a small fraction of a cent
Okay.
per gallon. I think there was a hint at those numbers, but I think just want to put it on there. That's part of what the consideration is.
Okay. Representative Breyer.
Yeah, after hearing some more testimony today and hearing from DOT, I have a lot of friends that have lake houses. Also, I have friends that have houses all from Massachusetts that live, go up to the White Mountains and stuff. I don't see this toll thing really, they're still gonna come here. And I really don't see this affecting tourism at all.
Representative Opal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just know that specifically in my district, there are projects, bridge projects that are being delayed because of we don't have enough funds to properly fund the 10-year transportation plan, and those bridges are critical in my town, including one to our transfer station. So the other thing, it seems to me, with due respect, that what is seemingly a rather minor increase, even for out-of-staters, pales in comparison to what will happen if we don't take care of the dangers, the fact that our highway system is not built to the current traffic counts. The fact that we do have bridges, and a bridge failure is going to have a lot more impact on tourism and consumers than a few pennies more. I would, in regard to Representative Ulrich, I would simply say I would hope that lumber is coming from New Hampshire as opposed to coming from Massachusetts or Vermont, or even Quebec. And the point about and I don't think there's a toll in Pittsburgh, but maybe I haven't been up there in a while. Well, that's a whole nother subject. And regarding oil and gas and all of those, maybe that's an argument for restoring the renewable fund.
Okay. One more question. Representative Southworth.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I just say, when you delay projects, they cost much more, especially now with the current inflation. And secondly, we're talking about safety. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to close the work session on SB 627.
15 minutes.
And I want to take a 10-minute timeout for a caucus. And so I would ask,
Make it 15 per
well,
mile.
it'll probably end up, okay, 15 minutes, but let's get started right at 11:45. And I would ask the Republicans to stay. Everyone else, please leave the room. Okay, it looks like everyone is back. And we will start with an executive session on SB 492. I'll open that and look to Representative Cole for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion of ought to pass on SB 492.
Do I have a second?
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Representative Schamberg.
Thank you. We heard from the Adjutant General that they're having a little bit of a housing problem, especially down in the Peace Air Force Base area, and they want to build additional housing on some of the properties that they have, and it's helping out our military people here, supporting them, and I think something that we should definitely pass.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were voting on Senate Bill 492, an act authorizing the Department of Military Affairs and Veteran Services to license and lease property in which the department holds a property interest. The motion is ought to pass. Representative Ulrey.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Julia Taribolia.
Yes.
Representative Gason.
Yes.
Representative Janine Notter.
Yes.
Representative Cole.
Yes.
Representative Breyer.
Yes.
Representative Mary Ford.
Yes.
Representative Mary Murphy.
Yes.
Representative Almy.
Yes.
Representative Southworth.
Yes.
Representative Malloy.
Yes.
Representative Schamberg.
Yes.
Representative Bolton.
Yes.
Representative Elberger.
Yes.
Representative Jeffrey Smith is not present. Representative Opal.
Aye.
Representative Spar.
Representative Spar is not present, but there are two replacements here today for our members who are missing.
Okay, I have Representative Devoid as a substitute.
Over here.
Okay. And I don't have a substitute in the record for Representative Jeffrey Smith.
That's me, Barry Faulkner.
Let me correct my notes.
Yes, I believe my approval was sent this morning.
Okay, I'm missing a,
Representative Hacken Phillips and Representative Faulkner.
So, Mary, Representative Hacken Phillips, you're in for who?
Terry Spar.
Terry Spar.
Thank you.
okay. Representative, the motion is ought to pass. Representative Hacken Phillips.
I vote yes. Thank you.
Chairman Janigian.
Yes.
Did you,
I had one more.
did you record me as a yes?
Representative Void.
Over here, yes.
No, yeah.
And
Representative Faulkner is in for
Jeffrey Smith.
Jeffrey Smith, yeah.
Representative Faulkner.
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, Chairman Janigian.
Yes.
I have a unanimous vote of 21 to zip.
20. Should be 20.
20.
The vote being 20-0, the OTP motion passes. And is there any objection to consent? Seeing none, it'll go on the consent calendar. And Representative Cole, you'll write the majority report. These are very good. I'll close the executive session on SB 492. And now I'll open the executive session on SB 627 and look to Representative Ullery for a motion.
I move interim study.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Representative Ford. And would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, while the plan as laid out here makes a great deal of sense, there are still some questions in my mind as to the application of the plan and the understanding of the plan by the residents of New Hampshire as to how it goes. The letter to the editor that was passed out is a good start, but based on the conversations at the post office and at the market basket, not sure that the entire plan has fully been digested by our constituents. At the same time, BEA was not here. I wish they were. I don't know what the effect on this is going to be, which we already, on tourism, which we talked on briefly regarding individuals coming up here to ski and enjoy the beaches, and well, you can do both this time of year. But at any rate, that's why I'm moving an interim study.
Thank you. Representative Schamberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I oppose the interim study approach. First, this bill will improve the financial stability of the Turnpike Fund over the next 10 years. Second, it closes the state infrastructure gap for crucial highway and bridges for our New Hampshire citizens. Third, compared to the cost of gasoline, this increase is small versus filling up a 20-gallon tank. Fourth, better maintenance roads actually lowers the cost for New Hampshire residents and their vehicles. Fifth, the impact on the total retail price of goods overall would represent a tiny fraction of less than 1%. And six, we are helping our own New Hampshire neighbors keep their Easy Pass rates stable.
Representative Elmy.
I would like to point out that the tourists do not come just to stay on the highways. They go into a lot of byways. They like to go visit one-lane bridges. They go all over the state, including that marvelous snow castle up north. And they experience what we are having to experience, which this year in particular has had major potholes and washouts because of the weather, and which may not even improve. And that discourages them from coming, I think, more than having to pay a small amount of extra money on the tolls that most of them may not even realize how much it is. Thank you.
Representative Opal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure. Well, no, I take that back. I am positive that we don't need a study to understand what the impact of a failure of a bridge or a major accident because of traffic would have on our economy, on tourism. And for the life of me, I can't understand. I thought we didn't want to mass up New Hampshire, but now apparently we're going to protect Massachusetts drivers from paying a few cents more when they expect us to pay a few cents more on the Mass Pike.
Yes, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One other piece that I think we have not discussed is the issue of safety. If small roads or small bridges fail and we need to get ambulances, fire trucks, or police cars, and their only option if a road or bridge fails is to take a lot longer to get to wherever they need to be, we're putting the health and safety of our own citizens at risk. I don't think that's a fair trade-off.
Representative Malloy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier, it was mentioned that in conversations one might have with constituents in retail outlets in the state, neighborhoods. I live in the Seacoast area. Some advantages living there. Not everybody is rich. Not everybody is well-to-do. But my conversations with the constituents in the Seacoast area, and they see that traffic jam every weekend on 95, They just wonder why we're not charging more and collecting money for that when it can be used entirely across the state for improving all of our roads, all the state roads, and helping helping the economy, helping us do business, helping us get our kids to school, helping us get to work, and keeping the roads running. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I guess I would, oh, Representative Hacken Phillips.
Sorry, slow on the hand raise. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just think it's worth recognizing that this feels like a no-brainer. For us, I think the issue is we're asking someone else, not New Hampshire taxpayers, to pick up a little more of the slack for the services that they use in our state, and that service might be use of our roads or bridges. So if we're not willing to pass this bill as written, we're really passing the buck to New Hampshire taxpayers to deal with those immediate risks to our roads and bridges, rather than just asking our neighbors to pay a little more. So when you talk about the cost benefit of passing this legislation or just putting it into interim study, which we've already heard from the department is not necessary, we're really making a choice about who pays. Is it New Hampshire taxpayers or is it somebody else when our roads and bridges fail? And right now, the motion on the table is suggesting that New Hampshire taxpayers are going to pay that price. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I guess I would just say that, we should take note, and I'm sure you all understand the difference between ITL and IS. If we were saying ITL, we'd be basically saying we don't think this is a problem at all. The reason it's IS is because we believe it needs a little further study. We'll be taking this up in the fall in this committee, as well as other bills that we put into IS. And so in the fall, we'll look at this again with the main thought of, are these the right numbers? I don't think any of us disagree that there shouldn't be an increase on out-of-state drivers. The question is, what is that number? Is this the right number? Is it more? Is it less? What is the right number so that we're balanced? And as Representative Ulrich pointed out, we're on a time crunch. This has to come out of this committee today. We don't have BEA here to get their assessment. That's something we can get over the summer as well. So that what I would like to do is, when we come out of the interim study motion in the summer, or in the fall is actually when the meeting would be, we either are going to recommend this bill as it is now, or we're going to recommend it with some possible changes to the toll. So I don't think it's a matter of we don't think that it needs to be addressed. The matter at hand is, what is the right number? We don't want to be a rubber stamp for any other committee. There's a reason that we're the second committee. There's a reason why it didn't just finish up after the Public Works and Highways Committee. We're looking at it to make sure that it makes sense. We're Ways and Means. We look at what is the actual tax or fee increase or decrease, but in this case, it's an increase. And I realize we all realize it's to out-of-state drivers, but it still needs to be the right numbers. Anybody else? Representative Almy.
Yes, we have waived almost every bill that we have been offered this term, this year. And a lot of them were things that I thought we should have looked at. This is really, we've looked at it now, we've listened to the people in the audience, and we know that the problem is there and that they have done their job on the technical side of the roads in the previous committee. And we don't seem to know exactly how many years it is going to take to bring this back and to start getting money that would help with this problem that has been there for a very long time and is getting worse because we started worse. In 07, or 07, I think it was, when we last increased the amount, part of it temporary, on the road toll. We spent an incredible amount of time talking about this, but we didn't get very far for what we were doing. We had to take the smallest amount of money that the most vociferous people would accept to keep improving our roads. We are now we have faced a crisis in all of the local roads and partly in the highways because of the terrible winter we've been through. It's going to take, because of that, all of those things that need to be fixed will need to be unfixed for longer. We're going to discourage tourists coming in, especially the tourists that want to go to all of the other places than ski resorts. And some of the ski resorts also have major access problems at this point. And waiting to do it does not make any sense to me.
Representative Bolton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if we are actually waiting for the right number, I did hear the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation indicate that this was the correct number. So I feel that grabbing this at this point to fix problems that have been accumulating for years, we have, in the town of Plymouth, we have 2 projects that were reluctantly put back on the 10-year plan just as a placeholder with no funding. And these are corrections in, state roads that need to be made to basically save, lives. So I don't think we need or can wait. I think now is the time to accept these monies that are, don't even affect New Hampshire citizens. They will not be hurt by this law. So I think now is the time to pass this. And I would be against the interim study.
Representative Almy, you mentioned that we don't know when this would come back again. There's no reason this can't come back in January of 2027 and be passed and signed by and effective by July 1st, 2027, indicating only a 6-month delay. So I think there's a lot of reason why we want to pass this, but I think us taking the time to make sure what the right numbers are, it's totally valid.
The only reason I can see for delaying at this point is to try to blame the Democrats if we get into the House as a majority for doing that next year.
No, I disagree with that. There's, as I said, I think it's pretty bipartisan that people understand that we need to increase the toll. They haven't been increased since 2007, but what are the right numbers? That's what Ways and Means does. It figures out what the right numbers are for taxes and for fees, and this is no different than that. Anybody else? Yes, Representative Elberger.
Just out of curiosity, what happens if this goes to interim study and the recommendation is to increase the tolls more?
Then that's what the recommendation is. No, it's fine. That's the point. We want to study it, and we want to. As I said, my expectation is it'll come out in the fall with a recommendation that either we go with this as it is. There's some things that change, whether it's plus or minus. That's the expectation. Oh, yes, Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I pointed out earlier, there is a very large discrepancy between what nearby states are charging for the heavier trucks and New Hampshire. So that would imply to some degree that these numbers may not be right, that we do, in fact, we might be leaving significant money on the table. We really do need to be more scientific in our approach here.
Yeah. Good point. I mean, because when you look at this, bill, there's a lot of items here. There's 12 classes of vehicles, and are these the right numbers? Representative Hacken Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I normally serve on the Finance Committee here in the State House. So I do often think about fiscal responsibility when I'm making decisions for, bills that have implications for our state's fiscal well-being. And I think to your point about whether or not we're leaving money on the table, I think that's just one perspective that we should consider, that if we don't act now, we're actually leaving more responsibility on the table, or we're removing ourselves from the responsibility of grabbing the money that could be on the table right now, with the thought that we could be grabbing more later. So I just think the responsibility lies at our feet now, and that if we do want to make a fiscally responsible decision, it should be charge the feet of the folks from out of state who are using our roads and bridges, so that we don't have a safety concern or a public passageway concern for the rest of our constituents on our roads. So, if you're going to take a risk one way, it would be to act now, because inaction will be far more expensive.
Anybody else? Yes, Representative.
I just want to reemphasize or repeat what I said before. It's pushing this off by 6 months. All it does is it postpones what we can do in the 10-year plan by 6 months or more. Both with funding and the fact that, two projects that are critically important are going to get dropped off the plan. And so that's kicks us back to the next 2-year cycle. So it's not without cost that we postpone this decision.
Well, it may be if we don't get the numbers right. That's my point. Representative Ullery?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think anyone on this committee disagrees that a modification change to the toll increases are necessary. The commissioner indicated that the application of the toll increase could be done relatively quickly, and that the funds would start flowing into the accounts within a short period of time once the law passes. We don't know what the effect is going to be on tourism. We know that tourism in New Hampshire has been down for a variety of different reasons, but we don't know. I also have a little bit of concern about when somebody says, this has to be done right now. Well, if it has to be done right now, why? We've heard about this bridge, that bridge. I've got a project in Hudson on the 10-year plan as well. I understand the need for funding on that. I understand the need to get this done, but I also understand the need to get it done correctly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I think we kind of see where we stand at this point, so I'm going to close the executive session on SB 627. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not going to close it. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
What do you say we vote on it? So I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are voting on Senate Bill 627 FN relative to toll adjustments and periodic inflation-based toll reviews for the New Hampshire Turnpike system to support the 2027-36 10-year transportation plan. The motion is interim study. Representative Ullery.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Havre-Bolia.
Yes.
Representative Geisen.
Yes.
Representative Notter.
Yes.
Representative Cole.
Yes.
Representative Breyer.
Yes.
Representative Mary Ford.
Yes.
Representative Mary Murphy.
Yes.
Representative Almy.
No.
Representative Southworth.
No.
Representative Malloy.
No.
Representative Schamberg.
No.
Representative Bolton.
No.
Representative Elberger.
No.
Representative Faulkner.
No.
Representative Opal.
Nay.
Representative Hocken Phillips.
No.
Representative Devoid.
Yes.
Chairman Janigian.
Yes.
I count 11 in favor, 9 opposed.
The vote being 11-9, the motion of interim study passes. And he tried getting 2 votes, but we only gave him 1. So Representative Ullery, you'll do the majority report. Representative Almy, who's doing the minority report?
When is it due?
Quick, very quickly. These will need to be due,
Today.
I mean, end of day today would be good, so tomorrow morning I can submit them.
Yes,
So
I
end
can
of-
do it.
As long as it's by 11:59, well, even if it's 2 in the morning, that's okay too. But
Okay,
tomorrow-
Mr. Chairman.
Tomorrow morning I'll be processing them, so sometime tonight.
Deputy Shepherd.
Shamber, yeah, Representative Shamber. Oh, that was Devoid.
Yeah, Devoid, we have missing member.
It was,
Representative Horace is not here anymore.
it's an open seat,
Open seat.
I guess. I didn't know him either. Oh. Yes, we are all set. This, I'm not sure when the next meeting will be, except I'll announce it, but right now we are done with all our bills. I will have some Senate messages. I only have 1 at the moment. I expect to get possibly some more tomorrow, and I'll probably, send them an email like I did. The only one I have right now is 524 that I had sent out, and it seems like everyone who responded back to me was concur, both Republicans and Democrats. So that's it. The next meeting will be whenever we schedule it, but I don't have anything right now. Thank you very much. What? 524, I'm going to concur, most likely, although we're the second committee, so I'm waiting to find out what Health and Human Services wants with that as well, but